Hakadosh Boker Or Masechet Gittin Daf Chet Amud Aleph 78a1 says the Gemara. We're in the two dots. We're on the third line where it says that even if she's going to be with him in the bed and he threw it to her in the bed, right? She's not going to be divorced because it wasn't given in her hand or her reshut. Okay, says the Gemara. Amar Rava. Rava comes and he says, Lo shanu ela b'mita shelo. This is only going to be talking about in his bed. Aval b'mita shelah. But if it's going to be in her bed, which means that she brought it in from, when she was not married, migureshet, she's going to be divorced. Tanyam Yach, we also learned it in Bright. It says mita shelo migureshet, mita shelah migureshet. Umita shelah migureshet. Says the Gemara, 1 second. If you're going to tell me it's be'emet in her bed, she's divorced, he says, kilyo shelokeach b'reshut mocherim. It's the kelim of the lokeach in the possession of the mocher. Shemat mina, we learn from here, kelav shel lokeach b'reshut mocher, kana lokeach. Are you going to tell me that kana lokeach? Which means like this. Imagine right now, I go into Publix, and I take in with me a school bag, right? The bag, whatever it is. And I come and I buy something. And I put something inside of the bag. Do I acquire it or not? That means it's kelim shel alokeach. I'm the purchaser. They're my utensils in the reshut, in the possession of the mocher, the seller. The seller was Publix. When do I acquire it? That's cool. So here he wants to come and he says that you see from here the kelav shel lokeach in the reshut of the mocher. The lokeach is going to be koneh midin kinyan chatzer, and not like the Monaim, which argue. So says the Gemara, no, we're not talking about it. Look, slicha, the gavua asara. We're talking about that it's going to be 10 tfachim. And since we're talking about that it's going to be 10 tfachim, it's a reshut bifnei atzmo, and that's why everybody agrees that the lokeach is going to acquire it. Remember, one more time, if it's going to be 10 tfachim tall, it's another reshut. And therefore, that's why he's going to acquire it. So says the Gemara, va'ika mikom karai. So 1 second, you have the reglei mita, which means even if the mita itself is 10 tfachim tall, the reglei mita are on the ground. So therefore, it's still considered kelav shelo kebashul. Meaning like this: the bed, let's say the table is like the bed. The bed or this table is actually, the table is almost actually 80 centimeters, right? But let's say this is 80 centimeters. Yeah, fine. But the legs of the bed or the legs of the table are still in the reshut of the mocher. They're still in the reshut of the husband. So says the Gemara, people are not makpidim on the legs of the bed, or people are not makpidim on the legs, right, of the table. Okay, 2 dots. If he threw it inside of her bosom, or inside of her sal, inside of her basket, megureshet. Says the Gemara, amai why? The same thing. The kelim of the lokeach in the property of the mocher. So Amar of Yehuda Shmuel says the Yehuda name of Shmuel. The kala, the basket was hanging on her body. Rabbi Elazar says Rabbi Elazar name of Oshia. It was hanging on her body. So therefore, since it's hanging on her body, that's why we said that it's going to be hers. Rabbi Shimon Lakish says, Reshaki says, no, it's tied to her, even though, meaning it could be dragging behind her, but it's tied to her, even though it's not through on her body. She's still going to be koneh, because it doesn't have to actually be right hanging from her, even if it's tied to her. Sometimes they put like on the hands. Okay, or nowadays they're dragging the baskets. So the same thing. Let's say she's dragging the basket and it's tied to her. So even though it's not hanging on her, she still acquires anything that goes inside of the basket. Ravada Barava comes in. He says, no, the basket was in between her legs, and therefore, according to everybody, even in the house of her husband, they're not going to be makpid on where she's sitting. So therefore, that belongs to her, right? So she's sitting, and she has the basket right here in between her legs. So therefore, it belongs to her. He says, no, you know what happened? He used to sell baskets. And since he sells baskets, his house was designated for baskets. So if he's not makpid on a basket, an extra basket, it's going to be hers. Rabbi Yochanan comes and he gives the last answer. Mekom cheka kanula. He says the place of her bosom is acquired to her, and the place of her basket is going to be acquired to her. right? And therefore, that's why it's going to be okay, because whatever she acquires, whatever goes into there, she's going to acquire it. Amar Rava says, "My time what's reasoning Rabbi Yochanan? If he shouldn't have makpid on Hechal, nobody's going to be makpid on his wife, on what she has in her basket or what she has in her bosom. He brings in her utensils. Meaning, when he gets married to a woman, she's going to bring in certain things. He's no makpid on that." Okay, Tanya we also learned this. Or in anything which is like her basket. What does it come to include when it says anything which is like her basket? It's talking about a small little bag that she uses when she eats dates. So that's also the same thing. She's always using that. So therefore also that's like her basket, and therefore he's not going to be makpid on her basket. Mishnah. Okay, until you were clear. Yeah. Mishnah on Ayin Chet Amud Aleph. Right, 78a. Mishnah says, Amala kinsi shtar chov zeh, o shemetzaato me'achorav, kor'a, v'igita, v'igita. Imagine a person comes and he tells his wife, look at this bill. Yeah, he gives her the bill, right? And what happens is, or she found it, right? It was like kilu behind the husband. She starts reading it, and really, be'emet it's a get. That means he did it purposely. I guess he was embarrassed, or he just wanted to, to cause her to, whatever it was, to cause her to suffer. So he comes and he says, look at her. She takes it. 1 second. What is this? There's a get. What's going on? Eno get at shiomar. It's not a get until he tells her, he gitech. This is your get.
Surprise.
Yeah, that means he has to say it. Doesn't help if he doesn't say it. Natan biyada v'hi yeshena. What happens if you put it in her hand and she's sleeping? Then neora, she gets up. Yeah, she stands up. No, not to sleep. The Korah, and she starts reading it. Parigita, same thing. Eno get ad shiomala he gitech. Okay, same thing. Until he has to tell her he gitech. Says the Gemara, ki amal he gitech my havi. What do I care when he says he gitech? Havale, it's like he said tli gitech mal gabe karka. It's like take the get from the ground. The Rava says. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah, it doesn't mean anything. Which, by the way, actually happened. I was witness that I remember I was by a get that the one they do the whole thing. Right? They do the entire thing. Okay, he drops it. It fell on the floor. Once it fell on the floor, they have to do the entire thing again. Yeah, he picks it up again. Huh? No. But the giving over, the mesira has to be given over again. Because to come and to say that it's being given over, it doesn't help. So what happens? He picks it up again, and now he says, okay, boom. When it gets into it, then it's fine. Because take your get from the ground is nothing. It's nothing.
But when they said that they put the get in the
why don't we say that the get was behind his belt, right? And the woman slipped it out. So therefore, she took the get from the husband and not from the ground. So shelaftonami, but it says 1 second, even if she did that. Meaning, imagine right now I come and I put this here, right? It's right here in the back. And she comes and she takes it out. But at the end of the day, v'natam. So he says, habayina v'natam yada v'leka. You don't have v'natam yada. Answers the Gemara, lo tzlicha de'arak la chartzeh u'shlafteh. The husband, he stuck out his, he moved his body towards her in a way to bring it close to her, and then she took it from him. So therefore, it's ki'ilu, it's considered the fact that he helped her by moving his body towards her in order to take the get, it's still considered an atam biyada. The Tanya Miyachi also learned in the Raita, Amarla, if he told her, Kinsi shtar chov zeh, take this shtar chov, or shavdo be'echarav, she just took it from behind him. Or she reads it and now she reads it and it's her get. It's not a get. Until she says, this is your get. Divrei Rabbi. These are the words of Rabbi. Shimon ben Elazar says, really, be'emet, it's not going to be a get. Until, right, you're going to take it. And until you're going to come and say, Hegitech. Meaning that it's not going to be a get, you have to take it back. You have to take it back, say it, and then you have to give it to her. Yeah? If he gave it to her hands and she's sleeping, Neora v'kor'a, she wakes up and she reads it. Varei higita, it's her get. Eno get, it's not a get. Ad she'omarla, until he tells her, hegitech, this is your get. These are the words of Rabbi. Rabbi Shimon Lazar, Rabbi Shimon Lazar comes and he says, Ad shitlena mena, until you're going to come and you're going to take it. Yeah, ad shitlena mena. Yeah, yachzor v'tinel v'yoman hegitech. Utzricha, and we need both cases. Meaning we need both cases, also the sleeping and also the other case. Why? If you're only going to tell me to do with the shtar chov and everything, she could get divorced, and therefore it was a problem. But if she's sleeping, she can't get divorced when she's sleeping. So maybe he agrees to Rabbi Shimon ben Lazar that she's not megureshet until the husband actually takes it and he actually gives it back to her again. But if it was only going to be mentioned in the case of the sleeping, here Rabbi Shimon ben Lazar says, so you have to actually take it back and everything. Why? Because there was a chisaron in the actual kabbalat get. But in the case of kinsi shel chovzeh, there was no chisaron in the kabbalah. The kabbalah, she accepted it, right? It was just she didn't know what it was. So maybe she agrees with Rabbi. Sricha, that's why we say that we need both cases. Okay, fine. So therefore, what happens now is, right, is basically, does she need a new mesira, or is it enough just to say hegitech? Right? According to Rabbi, it was enough just to say this is your get. According to the Shua, no, you have to actually take it back and then give it back to her and say the gitech. This is your get. In a sense, that's what you have to do. So we need the same machloket in both cases, also by the case of sleeping, and also by the case that he tricked her and saying that this is like a bill or whatever it is. Okay, fine. Amar Rava. Rava comes and he says, "Katav la get untano biyad avdah." What happens if he writes a get and he gives it to the hand of her servant, her Eved Kenani? Yashan, right? If the Eved is sleeping, and she's watching over him, right? Arez a get, it's going to be a good get. Why? Because since he's sleeping, the woman is the one that's looking over him. So therefore, it's considered chatzera mishtamen ledata. But if he's awake, if he's neor, eno get, it's not a get.
She's watching over the slave.
Yeah, meaning that's right now she's the one that's in charge of the slave, right? Why? Because he's not walking around. He's not the he's sleeping over there. It's not that she has to be physically, thing, but meaning that she's the one in charge of him. So therefore, he says, however, though, if right now he's neor, he's awake, it's not a get. But then it's considered a chatzer, which is mishtamer shelodata. Why? Because the guy has his own mind and he's running around doing different things. So therefore, it's not going to be watched over. Yashenu mishamarto harez a get. Says the Gemara, 1 second. If he's sleeping and she's watching over him, it's considered a get. He says, "Am I why? Chatzer me'alechati." Right? The Eved, he could get up and he could walk around whenever he wants. That's considered a chatzer me'alechet. Right? Usually a chatzer cannot move. So if a chatzer cannot move, it's fine. But a chatzer me'alechet is a human being that can run around, that can walk. So a chatzer me'alechet is not koneh. Chatzer me'alechet lo kana. Vechitim, and if you're going to tell me yashen shani, he's sleeping. So he's not me'alechet. You're right. When he's awake, even if he's mobile, even if he's steadfast, right? Still, it's a chatzer me'alechet. But here he's sleeping. So maybe if he's sleeping, he's not chatzer me'alechet. Right? V'ha'amar Rava says, kol shera'ui, right? Ve'me'alech lo kana, omed yoshev lo kana. Anything if he's right now awake and he could walk, it's not going to be koneh. So if he's standing or he said, it's also not going to be koneh. Says the Gemara, what is halacha? You're right. The kafut, he's tied up. Meaning only if he's tied, then the Eved is going to acquire it for the woman. If he's not tied up, even if he's sleeping, since he's considered a chatzer ma'alechet, he never acquires anything for the woman. Okay? Until here we're clear? Yeah?
Okay. Get in the car and the woman's.
Mishnah in Chet Amud Aleph on the bottom. Yeah, the Mishnah says 78 on the bottom. Hayeta omeda b'reshut Rabim. She's standing in the reshut Rabim. Zrakola karov la, and he threw it to her. Now remember, it's not his reshut, but it's not her reshut. But he threw it close to her. Megureshet, she's going to be divorced. Karov lo, it's closer to him, and a megureshet, she's not divorced. Mechzal mechzal, what happens if it's in between? Meaning he threw it, there was 10 meters between them. And he threw it exactly, landed 5 meters. Right? Megureshet and a megureshet. V'chel inyan kiddushin. The exact same halacha applies to kiddushin. Right? V'chel inyan chov. Same halacha would apply to a chov. Amar lo bal chovo, if he tells the bal chov, zrok li chovi, throw it to me. and he threw it, and then it got burnt, or it got lost, or whatever it is. Karov lamalveh zachal malveh, karov laloveh aloveh chayav. If it was closer to the lender was zochenet, and if it's going to be closer to the borrower is still chayav to pay it back. Mechzal mechzal shnei mechluk. If it's in between, they have to divide it. They divide the loss. Okay, until here we're clear. Because basically, what happens if it got lost in the middle, burnt in the middle, the wind took it away, I don't know where in the middle, whatever the case was, that's what's going to happen. Says the Gemara, Hechidami karovla. What does it mean karovla? Vechidami karovlo. What does it mean karovlo? What does it mean close to her, close to him? Amar Rav, exactly. Amar Rav says, Arba amot shela, c'est karovla. Arba amot shelo, karovlo. If it's within the four amot, it's karovlo. No, karovla, sorry, with her amot. Right, so it's karovla. If it's within his four amot, karovlo. Hechidami, what does it mean mechzal mechzal then? Why? Because if four amot, within 4 amot of a person, it's going to acquire. So Amar Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak says, Shmuel bar Yitzchak, Kigon shayu shneim umdim be'arba amot. They were both within the same 4 amot. Meaning, he's here and she's here. There's exactly 1.92 meters between them. So it's both within the 4 amot of both of them. Yeah? So he says, Kigon shayu shneim umdim betoch arba amot. Okay? And therefore, zemikam zemikan. So the get is exactly within each of their 4 amot. So says the Gemara, fine. Who came first? If he comes and he's walking and he gets to a certain place, so when he gets to a certain place, right, what happens is that when he gets there, he has his 4 amot. If she comes afterwards, but he already has, she's coming in my domain. If she's coming afterwards. So why don't we just see who came first? Answers the Gemara, maybe they both came at the same time. They both came at the same time. It's impossible. You can't say that at the exact same second. Somebody came first. Check who came first. Ela Marav Kahana, but rather Rav Kahana says, no. We were talking about not that they were both within the 4 amot. They were both 8 amot difference. Meaning he comes and she comes. Each one have 4 amot and they both finish exactly at the same point.
That also is impossible.
Why?
They can't arrive at the same time. They cannot.
No, you're right.
Exactly what
they can't. No. They can't arrive at the same time, 100%. But that I could stand here and you could stand here, and there's exactly 8 amot between them. That could happen because now I don't care about time. Who came first? Because it doesn't matter who came first. I have 4 amot, you have 4 amot, but they both finish in the same space, and now it comes and it falls right there. So there, right? We're talking about 8 amot mitzumtzamot. Okay, ayin chet amubet. The get yotze ma'arba amot shelo la'arba amot shela. And the get, part of it is within his 4 amot, and part of it is within her 4 amot. So that means the get landed, and you have part of the get in his 4 amot, part of the get in her 4 amot. So ask the Gemara.
The name is on this side, and the
signature
is on
the name.
Side.
Yeah. So says the Gemara, the ha'agi gabeh. Says 1 second, but if it's still attached with him, so if she's not megudeshet, what do I care? You have to remember, when a person gets divorced, it has to be that they're 100% detached from the marriage. Here, she's still attached to it. Why? Because if it's still partly in his possession, so therefore she's not divorced. There are 2 different witnesses. There's a machloke between the edim. Who was it closer to? Closer to him or closer to her? Rabbi Yochanan says, Karov lah shani, shafilu me'ama. Close to her, we learned it, that even within the 100 amot, right, it's still going to be megureshet. The Karov lo shaninu, right, the Karov lo, we learned it, shafilu me'ama, that even within the me'ama, right, it's still the same thing. Which means, at the end of the day, Rabbi Yochanan just says, Karov lo and Karov la, is even 100 amot, doesn't matter. Right? That means basically it has to be closer to him or closer to her. I don't care about exactly how many amot. I just measure. I come and I threw it like a football. Oh, it was all the way going over there. I don't care. Is it closer to her or closer to him? That's what we need. That's all that I'm caring. So says the Gemara, okay, fine. So what's the case of mechzal mechza? Amar Rav Shimon bar Abba, says Rav Shimon bar Abba, the didim in Farsha Lamineh de Rabbi Yochanan. For me, it was explained the words of Rabbi Yochanan himself. Hu yachol leshomro. He could be shomer his get. V'hi yichola leshomro. Right? And she cannot shomer the get. Zeu karov la. Lo. He yichola leshomro. If she could watch it and not him, it's karov la. Shneim yicholim leshomro. Shneim en yicholim leshomro. Which means like this. One more time. Until here, we had 3 different shitot. The first shita was karov lo, karov la is dalad amot. Karov la within his 4 amot. Karov la, her 4 amot. Yeah, that's what it means. Okay, that's the first shita. Karov lo, karov la. Second shita, nothing to do with karov la, which is 4 amot. Nothing to do with the 4 amot. What is it exactly? It has to do with closer to. Doesn't matter in amot. It could be 100 amot. I don't care. It's what is it close to? Closer to him or closer to her? That's all it is. Third shita, it's not closer, not closer. Who's able to watch it? If he could watch it and she can't watch it, it's karov lo. If she could watch it, he cannot watch it, it's karov la. Closer to her. If they both could watch it or they both cannot watch it means they can watch over it, they can take care of it. So then it's mechza. That's the third explanation. They said it in front, the rabbi said it in front of Yochanan, in front of Yochanan like this. Amar, they said, Yadin Chavrin Bavlai Leferushi Kaitama. Do our friends, the Babylonians, know how to explain this? So Talim Yaakov also learned this in the Braita. Rabbi Eliezer says, Kol shu karov lah milo, uba kelev untalo, ena megurashet. If it's closer, right? Kol shu karov lah, if it's closer to her than to him, and a dog comes and takes it, she's not divorced. Says the Gemara, why not? As long as she could mutal aleh l'shomra, right? It's always forever. And it means like this: if it's closer to her than to him, and if a dog would come and take it, that he could stop the dog and not him, and not her. Sorry, she's not divorced. Why? Because it has nothing to do with kiruv makom. It has to do with shmira. Nothing to do with kiruv makom. Has to do with protection. Who's able to watch over it? Nothing to do with proximity. I don't care about the proximity. I care about who's able to be shomer the get.
The dog ate my get.
Okay? Exactly. You see? You know, the entire concept of the dog eating their homework came from here. Yeah, it starts from here. Amar le Shemuel Rav Yehuda. Says Shemuel to Rav Yehuda. Shinana, sharp one. Kedei shetashuach v'titlena. Do you know what it means? Right? Karov la. Karov la means that she could bend down and pick it up. That's what it means. She doesn't even have to walk. At lo ta'avid uvda ademat gita liyada. And you cannot say that the get is kasher until it gets to her hand. Yeah, but that means he was coming and saying they're really behemet, right? When it says karov la, it means that it's so close that she can bend down. Meaning within 2 meters, I can't bend down, right? Unless I have the hand of a bitya. I can't just bend down and pick it up. So karov la means it has to be so close that I'm able to bend down and pick it up. But he says, but don't do halachal maaseh until it actually gets to her hands. Until he gives it to her hands. So, and by the way, that's what we do nowadays. That means even though nowadays, no. You give it to her hands. Elmaleh Mordechai Ravashi says Mordechai to Ravashi, Hava uvda hachi. Do you know there was such a case? Vatzechuha chalitza. Right? And the rabbis, they needed her to do chalitza, which means that she was not divorced. Right? Why? That means they did it like that. That he threw it into the Reshut Rabbi. It was so close that she was able to bow down and bend down and pick it up. And then the husband dropped dead. And they still said that she still needed to do chalitza. Why? Maybe she wasn't divorced. Okay? Fine.
What?
2 dots. Yeah, but that means Allah said, they were saying, don't do anything until it actually gets to her hand.
There was a case like that.
There was a case like that.
Oh, there was a case like that.
Yeah, he said.
Dropped dead.
Yeah, he dropped dead.
Right
When she caught it.
No.
She picked it
One
up.
more time.
Before she
He
picked it
threw it to her.
Yeah.
She didn't
Right?
pick up yet.
She didn't pick it up yet. She
She died.
went, and now she's going to bend down and pick it up.
She died.
What happened? He died.
She was
Says
able
the-
to pick it up.
It's a case of the Mahan, not a case of...
No, real case.
היה כזה מעשה.
אוקיי, חשבתי שאתה אומר
Venezuela.
בנזואלה או ג'יברלטר.
No, the case of Gemara. Fine. Says the Gemara. Next. וכן לעניין קידושין. The same halacha.
It's a big deal.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Because
It's
she
incredible.
באסורה to אחיו.
Exactly.
Or
That's why he says chalitza. You're not to do ibum. Only chalitza.
today
Because chalitza, no. Because the chalitza is saving by every end. Ima nafshach. If Bemet she was already divorced, big deal. She does chalitza, nothing happened. But if she was married,
divorced.
so she cannot do ibum. So she has to do chalitza. So she
Why-
can only do chalitza.
Why does she do the chalitza if she was divorced?
In linyan kiddushin, the same halacha applies to kiddushin. Amar Rabbi Yassi, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Says Rabbi Yassi, name Rabbi Yochanan. Legitin amru velo ledavar acher. Do you know that the Chachamim are coming and we're saying that we're talking about even Gittin and not to do with anything else. Right? That means basically, we said in our Mishnah, the same halacha applies to Kiddushin. No. It says this only applies to Gittin, that if it's Karov La, it's Kilu, it came to her hand. But not to do with anything else. But here all of a sudden it's saying only for Gittin, not for anything else. In our Mishnah it said for everything, even for Kiddushin, for Balchov, for everything. So Eitvei Rabbi Avasi, the Chelian Kiddushin, it's Mefurash, even for Kiddushin this helps. So answers the Gemara, Shane Hatam, it's different by Kiddushin Nichtiv, V'yatzea ve'ayita. V'yatzea mi beto, v'ayita l'shacheh. She came out of this guy's house and she got married to somebody else, which means there's Kiddushin and Kiddushin together. So since it's Kiddushin and Kiddushin together, that's why it applies to it as well. So Eitvei says the Gemara, 1 second. We have a question. It says the Chelin Chov. It was a Bal Chov. We're towards the bottom of Ayin Chet Amubet. Okay? 78B, probably 3. B3. B2? Okay, 2. So Eitvei, we're asking the following question. The Chelin Chov. Zerok li chovi. I throw my Chov. Uzrakolo, and then he threw it. Karov l'malveh, if it was closer to malveh, zechal oveh. So then it's going to be zochel oveh. Karov l'oveh, malveh chayav. Mechza mechza, shem yecholoku. So here you see that it's not only to do with Gittin and Kiddushin. We said to do with a get. Closer to her, it's hers. Closer to him, his. Same halacha, Kiddushin. Same halacha, Balchov. Says the Gemara, only by get. Only by get. It says by Kiddushin. You're right. Kiddushin, it says v'yatzea v'ayita. We learn the same halachot, they apply together. V'yatzea means you threw her out. V'halacha, she came in. That's a Kiddushin. So Kiddushin and Kiddushin, it's like not a Kiddushin, but it's like a hekesh. It's a juxtaposition, a proximity. So okay, so you look. But Balchov, we said him mefurash in the Mishnah. So answers the Gemara, what are we dealing with? The Elmaleh that he told him, Zrok li chovi v'tipater. Meaning he told him, by you throwing it, you become patur. So it's like Ki'ilu, that he already gave you the patur. Meaning really, if he just says throw it, it's not good enough. But here he said, Zrok patur, so that's what you're going to be patur. So it says, so what's a chidushan? Obviously. If you said that, if I come and I say, you know what, just throw it to me and you're patur. I threw it to you. I don't know what happened. Obviously, patur. What's a chidush? Says, what are we talking about? The Elmaleh that he told him, Zrok li chovi v'torah gittin. Throw it to me like a get, right? And therefore, it's like a get. The Torah gittin. So he says, what's a chidush? The second you said the same thing. So I would have thought to say, Mati Elmaleh, you could have said, I'm just laughing with you. Well, Shalom comes to teach you, that you can't say that. The second that he told him, throw it like a get. So therefore, if he threw it within his daladamot, or whatever it is, the halachot that we mentioned, is closer to him, it's his. And there you're going to be patur. So imagine, he throws it to him, somebody comes running, grabs the money and runs away. Sorry, I threw it to you, closer to you. Whatever the closer to you means. Within the daladamot, closer to you in proximity, you were able to watch it, I wasn't able to watch it. Whatever the shot of the closer to you is, but it's yours. I don't have to pay you anything. Amar Rav Chasta, says Rav Chasta, get biyada, whatever he puts the get in his hand, but there's like a chut, there's a rope attached to the get, and it's in his hand. So what is he going to do? Yeah, take it for a second. He wants to pull it. I got the string, so he wants to pull it.
What's the point?
So you can't to play around with her. Yeah, and this actually did happen in Eretz Yisrael, right? Where I remember that what happened is that he was supposed to sign the get. Or he was supposed to sign divorce papers, right? He comes and the woman is there watching by Zoom, and she's watching, right? And or whatever, FaceTime, whatever it was called, right, at the time, right? And she's watching, and the husband comes, he picks up the pen, and her adrenaline, her heart is pumping and pumping, and finally she's saying, please, Hashem. And all of a sudden, he does a scribble, he looks up, and he starts laughing. He throws down the pen, and he walks out.
He did the scribble.
Yeah, he didn't actually sign it.
He
He was doing it. Yeah. He did it in order to... He's got the Mashiach in his hand. If he could, how do you say it? Yank it away and pull it to him, she's not divorced. If he cannot, she's divorced. My time out reasoning. You need a separate kritut. Separate kritut means something that cuts off between him and her. There cannot be a connection. And therefore, and here you don't have it, because if he could yank it away, it's still his. If her hand is made like a slope, which means she didn't put her hand straight. It was made like a slope. Uzrakola, and he threw it to her. Even though it came into her hand, why? Because it fell immediately into her, meaning like this. He goes like this. So it fell, right? It fell in her hand, but it fell directly down. It was like a slope. Not the worst. Because it didn't actually land in her hands. It just went straight down. So says the Gemara, my why? When it fell within her Daled Amot. So it should still be divorced. Answers the Gemara, it never landed on the ground. It got burnt, it got this, whatever happened, whatever. It never actually. So therefore, it's the Tigaresh Me'avira, fine. But it's within the Bamot airspace. Answers the Gemara, so the question is, does it have Avid or not? Meaning, when we say that a person has Daled Amot, do you have the Avid, the airspace of the Daled Amot, or not? If you show that, so obviously you don't have the Avid. Hachamaiskin says, no, she's by the river. And therefore, therefore, if it was going to go on the thing, it's going to go libud. So the fact that it was going to go libud, if it missed her hand, and now it's going into the river, Kaddish, that's it. There's nothing more to talk about. We continue with Hashem tonight.